Hi and welcome back to Sarah's Texture Crafts. In this video we're going to be looking at the spindle and how to apply your leader thread. Here I'm using top whirl spindles, so these are examples of some different weights that you can buy in my shop. So you can spin anything on a spindle, from very thick and coarse fibres right through to very fine fibres, exotic fibres like camel. Also plant fibres as well, so from silks to tencels, that kind of thing. I tend to use a mid-weight one, and on here we can see I've already started to use this one to spin some of my hand dyes. The parts of the spindle that you should be familiar with are the shaft. This is where you wind your yarn onto, both with your spinning singles or if you're spinning applied yarn. Just above that will be your whirl. This is basically a weight. You will find on some spindles that the whirl is situated towards the bottom of the shaft, and on others it's at the top. Personally, I prefer a top whirl spindle, purely because that's what I learnt on, that's what feels comfortable and gives me a continuous and consistent yarn across the length. And it's just a personal preference really. You might find that you end up preferring to use a bottom whirl spindle, but we'll see some different examples of that in later videos. At the top of this one, and some others might not have this, but this one has a hook, and this is where I hold my fibre as I'm setting the twist. You'll find that some of the other spindles that don't have this hook feature might have a nick in the wood that protrudes from the top whirl, or it might come to a point and you might have to use a hitch stitch to hold that onto the top there as you're setting your twist into this part. Everything from that hook downwards is where you hold your set yarn, and by that I mean the yarn that has had the twist set into it. Everything above the hook will be raw fibre that you will be setting your twist into. So let me find one where I can put on the leader thread and show you that. Okay, I've got one here, it's slightly smaller, but that will do for our purposes. Now, your leader thread. There are several different types of leader thread you can use. You could either use some hand spun, which is what this is here, very lightly twisted, not set yarn, that will, I mean, you can see it's quite fluffy across the length, and that helps to hold and grab the fibres that you are wishing to spin into yarn. And you'll see why that's important on a later video where we actually take our pre-drafted nest from our previous video and set that into a twist and turn that into yarn using our spindle. But for today we're just going to see how to apply this leader thread. You could also, for your leader thread, use a commercially spun yarn, so something that you have in your stash, maybe a leftover from a piece of knitting. And what you need to do is just cut yourself a length, I would say probably 40 to 50 centimetres. This bit's probably slightly longer, but I tend to use this for a bigger spindle. I fold that yarn in half, so you've got the two there and you've got that sort of looped end. That loop end, keep hold of that because that's what you want to use. First of all, you thread this round the back of your shaft on your spindle, so it looks like that. Then taking the loop, you open it between your thumb and your forefinger, and you then reach over and grab the yarn from the other side. So it looks like that, and then you just pull that tight, and then make sure that's against the top of your whirl. On some spindles, and on most of the spindles that I sell actually in my shop, you will have a nick out of your whirl. This doesn't unbalance the weight of the whirl, it actually just helps you to have somewhere to pop your leader thread through and later your yarn. So you just pull that in tight and that holds that quite nicely, and then around the hook. This means that you are now ready to take your fibre and start to spin, and that will be in our next video. Okay, thank you very much.